Christine. Alive.
I feel better than James Brown. The Snowden thing is kind of fascinating. So, just if anyone's memory needs refreshing, Edward Snowden was a contractor for the National Security Agency, and he's responsible for exfiltrating. I think that's a good word. Exfiltrating and publishing a large collection. Liberating. That's it. Information wants to be free, right? Liberating a large collection of classified documents that showed the extent of the surveillance that was being conducted on American citizens. I very clearly remember the first, bit of news related to that. It was a national security letter, authorizing basically data call detail record collection from Verizon. But, at that point in time, no one had ever seen a national security letter before because, the FBI was real secretive about that stuff. I mean, not only are, they is the FBI secretive about themselves, they typically prevent the NS cells contain language that prevents the person from receiving them from telling anyone about it. And a person receiving one of these is only legally able to work with counsel that has security clearance. So, the fact that one of these got out is just amazing. But anyway, I gather that Edward Snowden has written a book. The United States government has sued him over the book, and the U.S. courts have ruled that any profits made from this book or from speeches giving about the content of the book, are basically the federal government. So they're taking his money. And from what I've read, it seems like a fair amount of this boils down to two things. One is he didn't have the CIA review the copy first and get it approved. And number two is a court decision that he violated his non-disclosure agreement, which he signed, I guess, to work with as a contractor for the NSA. I think Go ahead, Joe. Oh, I'm sure he is.
He is, yeah.
I wouldn't cooperate with him. If the consequences of violating your non-disclosure agreement are step one, move to another country. I wouldn't necessarily expect. If I were in his shoes, I probably would not cooperate either. I do think it has to say something for the way non-disclosure agreements can be abused. I could almost picture this one saying something like, the employee agrees not to disclose any illegal activities taken on behalf of employer.
That's literally what they say. Like, I've had to sign one as part of receiving settlement for 1099 misclassifications. Like, I can't actually tell you which two-letter educational agency in Boston on the shoreline in a giant glass tower fucked over a bunch of remote teachers in the state. But the letters in the alphabet are sequential, so fuck them. Sorry, I'm just bitter. Just writ large.
But,
this is another example of the U.S. government existing as a cabal of thuggery that only affects itself outwards. Like, how many other Trumpers have written books that contain like the same level of bullshit or lies or whatever that they have just not that the DOJ hasn't slapped down at all? This is just punitive. This is revenge.
It's no, the term is
really
discretionary enforcement. Kids, can you say discretionary enforcement? Yeah.
So he absolutely knew he had a positive diagnosis 24 hours before the debate. He knew he was putting everyone at risk when he took his mask off in that debate arena, and he deserves to be like, I'm going to say something fairly controversial. I hope he doesn't die of COVID, because that means he doesn't get to go to fucking prison. Yeah, the dude deserves
Tell us
to
how
be.
you really feel.
Yeah, he's broken so many laws. He needs to face consequences for that, and death is an easy way out, a coward's way out, and he's an easy coward. So some fairly interesting things have come out since the hospitalization late Friday night. He's been rumored to have been talking about going out like one of his rich guy New York fuck friends who died of COVID. The news coming out of Walter Reed Hospital is unreliable and self-contradictory. He's reported to have been on had low 80s blood oxygen level. He's reported to have received a steroid drug that's only effective for people on ventilators, like not just supplemental oxygen, full ventilators. He released a video which has very obviously been manipulated and edited to appear as though it was just one take, when in fact it's a composite. He locked himself in the SUV with Secret Service agents and had them drive around the hospital for a photo op for the cult that has sprung up, like the Occupy Trump camp.
Yeah, this you won't hear me say this very often, but I kind of feel bad for the Secret Service agents.
I mean, but he understands the implications of COVID now that he's had it. So we should just ignore the 200,000 dead people?
210,000 now.
Go ahead, Joe. No, I was going to. I was going to say I suspect he does not have much in the way of feelings for the 210,000 that have died.
No empathy whatsoever.
Mm-mm.
Sorry, Joe, you were saying.
It's Nancy Pelosi.
President Pelosi.
Well, but Pence is still negative, right?
Last they checked, I believe.
It's got to be difficult to test Pence. I was just thinking, does he feel he has to marry the swab before it goes in his nose? Premarital swabbing. That just leads to all kinds of problems.
It's a slippery slope.
That's honestly why pirate captains can perform marriages, is to prevent premarital swabbing. Anyway, so What the fuck were we talking about? Good Lord, why do I do that every time? So yeah, he's violated a number of laws about like intentional virus transmission. He's not going to face accountability for that. He's continuing to put people at risk. He's not going to face any consequences for that. I don't know. I hate our old crime lord president. Welcome back, Christine.
Yeah, seems to be having connection issues.
Sure. Check out the last video. You know, vote yes on questions 1 and 2. So for our events, this upcoming Saturday from 11 to 1 o'clock, we have a tech meeting to go over how we're going to live stream our upcoming party conference. And then on the 17th, myself and Malt and others will be in downtown Worcester mapping surveillance cameras. We did that in Boston, got at least 100, and we're hoping to beat that in Worcester and try and make these more reliable events. And then something that came over the wire, Julian Assange, for those of you who don't know, they've wrapped up his trial in the United Kingdom for extradition, and there's going to be a protest outside the UK Consulate at 1 Broadway, Cambridge, Massachusetts, tomorrow, Monday, from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. And that's organized by various folks who have supported Chelsea Manning in the past and Edward Snowden. So, you know, if you want, come out to that event for Julian Assange. I understand people's feelings about that, but it's if he gets extradited and tried in the U.S., then that means any journalist could potentially be tried in the United States, and you know we don't have a First Amendment in that case. So
yeah, fundamental melting.
That's all I got.
It's going to be a landmark case if that happens. And so, big issues there. Again, thank you for coming to this event. Hopefully, everything worked out perfectly technically. If not, we'll try and figure that out and get it done. But thank you for attending, and definitely like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Help beat the metadata, and help us get that word out there.